Guys, my name is K-Dog's Kennel, and welcome to a video I tried to shoot last night, but due to my webcam on my PC going funky and whatnot, was not able to do. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it to you guys tonight while I'm on my last break here at work. And we're going to a series I've been trying to resurrect for a while called Do You Remember, which takes a look back at pro wrestling's most shocking moments in its illustrious history. This one I actually received an email about if I would discuss, talking about the infamous Cobra incident between the Macho Man Randy Savage and Jake the Snake Roberts, which took place in late 1991. And I remember this very vividly. I remember this was kind of one of the more shocking moments that happened on WWE programming. And as we always do with Do You Remember, we have to go back to how where did this begin? How did this whole incident start? And actually, it started all the way back at WrestleMania 7 after the Macho King at the time had lost a retirement matchup to the Ultimate Warrior. The whole incident with Queen Sherry, beat the shit out of him. Elizabeth makes the save. Que sera, sera. But at the end of the day, Macho lost the match in his career, but he gained his woman back. Incidentally, Savage would spend the next several months on the sidelines until, months go by that you're looking at from March to the incident actually happened in October. It was actually taped back in October and hit the airwaves in November just before the Survivor Series. What's funny about this is, at the time when they turned Jake the Snake heel, Savage wasn't his initial feud that they had initially planned. Roberts was supposed to, when he did turn heel, he turned heel on the Ultimate Warrior. There was supposed to be a program between the two, between Jake and the Warrior, and it incidentally, it was going to take place after SummerSlam, but after the whole Ultimate Warrior holding Vince McMahon up for money to perform at SummerSlam, Vince would fire him, and then all of a sudden, you're looking at, now Jake's got this, no program. They did these vignettes where, Ultimate Warrior was feuding with The Undertaker at the time, and I work at Walmart, not Walkmart, but yes, I do work at Walmart. I'm on my break, so that's why I'm making this video. Roberts, Warrior would confide in Roberts, to teach him the ways of the dark, and they did a vignette where the Warrior was buried up to his neck in the dirt. They did a scene, a vignette where the Roberts would place him in a coffin, shut the lid, and then the final test, if you will, is where Roberts would officially turn heel. He led the Warrior into this dark room, and it was so funny that, he said, go to the center of the room, and there you'll find the key, and in this chest was it was supposed to be a King Cobra, but it was a prop. Warrior would get bit by the Cobra, and then that's when Jake would reveal his alliance with The Undertaker. That's all along, which again, that's what turned Roberts heel. Which is funny because days later, Ultimate Warrior would wrestle at SummerSlam, and that's after that whole debacle. Okay, bud, you're really annoying me. There we go. See you later, buddy. Anyway, and then Roberts, after the whole Warrior debacle happened, he was supposed to enter a feud with Sid Justice, but however, Sid Justice got injured, so that scrapped that feud. So the next logical thing that they did was they put him in a feud with Randy Savage. Now, how this all came to be was at SummerSlam, that same one that Ultimate Warrior got fired after. Roberts would crash the wedding ceremony between Randy Savage and Elizabeth, although they were married since I think it was 86 maybe is when they got married. They did a ceremony kind of, where they actually got married, the whole 9 yards. Roberts would crash the wedding with The Undertaker. Elizabeth would open the package and there'd be a Cobra in there, which sparked the start of the feud. Savage, of course, still having to be retired due to losing the career match at WrestleMania 7. When Roberts would wrestle, Savage would be on commentary, and Savage, doing everything he can to ignore him. Roberts, kept goading him until finally, on an episode of Superstars, it got to be too much, and Randy Savage charged the ring. Roberts would, get the jump on him, start beating him down. He tied him up in the ropes, starting to beat the crap out of him. And as he tied his arms on the ropes is when Roberts would unveil a King Cobra, a legitimate real-life King Cobra. So once, Savage is in the ropes, Roberts would take the Cobra and he would basically take it to Savage, and the snake would literally latch on. Lillian, hello. Would latch on to Savage's arm and, start biting and start gnawing on the arm legitimately. Now, this Cobra was divenomized. They tried to make it out to be where, the snake was not divenomized, and, the poison's going through, Savage's veins. And one of the funniest parts about this whole thing, Sandra, hello, is, Roberts has got a hold of his face, and he's shaking the Cobra. And everybody's like, oh, he's antagonizing the Cobra. What he's trying to do when he's shaking the snake, he's trying to get the snake to release his grip. But he can't get the snake off of Randy's arm. He finally does, and there's this big, splotch of blood on his arm, because, the snake is literally, digging his fangs into his arm. Another kind of funny caveat to this is before they went out to do it, hello, is the fact that Savage wanted the snake to bite Jake backstage before he would do it, because Savage was worried about, there being, lasting effects from the snake bite. Was the snake divenomized kind of thing. So Roberts had to let the snake bite him on the leg backstage before Savage agreed to run with what the plan was. So after the snake gets released, Savage starts stumbling around the ring, and he starts wildly swinging, and Elizabeth comes running out, screaming and crying, and Roddy Piper ends up coming down. And one of the creepiest moments, this snake legitimately is uncoiled in the middle of the ring, and its mouth is literally open. And it's like turning his head, happy with what he had done. You know what I mean? It's just really creepy. They get Savage on a stretcher. He falls off. There's little kids legitimately crying in the crowd. Like I said, it really led you to believe that this was like just an all-out assault, if you will. Savage would get taken out on a stretcher, be written off TV. Due to this, Savage and Roberts were supposed to captain their respective teams at Survivor Series. However, Savage couldn't participate due to being bitten by the snake. Roberts was removed as well as punishment. And then also on-screen President Jack Tunney basically barred all reptiles from ringside, hence why you didn't see Jake with a snake in the subsequent matches. Yo, big baby, what's up? Savage would be reinstated immediately after this, which led to a match between Jake Roberts and Randy Savage at the inaugural This Tuesday in Texas pay-per-view in December of 1991. I believe it was six days after Survivor Series, which saw Savage win the match. But then after the match, it kind of turned even uglier, because after the match, Jake jumped Randy. He hit him with a DDT afterwards. Elizabeth, gets in the ring, and he starts berating Elizabeth, and then he hits Savage with a second DDT, hits him with a third DDT, before he grabs Elizabeth. And this is one of the first times you ever saw, man on woman, interaction, violence, physicality in the WWE, because Roberts would smack Elizabeth right across the face, which of course incenses Randy Savage. They do backstage interviews with both of them. Jake's laughing and, oh, did you see what I did? Blah, 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 blah. Savage, my God, did such an amazing interview. He's despondent. He's upset. His wife has been just assaulted by this man. He's almost like, in the fetal position, sitting on the ground. He's slapping himself in the face. He's punching himself, despondent that he couldn't protect his wife. This feud would continue into 1992. Both of these men were participants in the Royal Rumble matchup for the WWF title that had been vacated as a result of the Undertaker-Hulk Hogan match at this Tuesday in Texas. After the fact that Savage would eliminate Jake from the Rumble, and then they would have a blow-off match on Saturday night's main event, where the feud kind of ended in a kind of an oddball way. Savage would get the win, once again, thus ending the feud. Savage would go Roberts would go backstage with a chair, and as Savage and Elizabeth are coming up the aisleway, Jake's armed and ready. He says, whoever comes through the curtain first is gonna get nailed with this chair. Elizabeth is the first one that comes through the curtain, and as Jake goes to hit Elizabeth with a chair, of all people, the Undertaker stops him. Oh, Lillian, no worries. I appreciate you coming by. Undertaker stops Jake from swinging the chair, thus setting up their feud and their build for WrestleMania 8, which happened to be, Jake's swan song from the WWE. Jake kind of held the WWE. Did a video about Jake going to WCW, where I talk about, Jake essentially held up WWE for his release, basically saying, either give me my release or I'm not going to do the job to Taker at WrestleMania 8. That was I think it was the second or third match of WrestleMania 8, and it was a squash match. Undertaker beat Jake pretty convincingly, hit him with that god-awful tombstone outside the ring that his head nowhere near hit the mat. It was kind of funny, but yeah, that was kind of the whole Savage Roberts in a nutshell. Like I said, it was one of the more personal feuds that you ever saw in the WWE. I need to link my email. Like I said, I'm actually glad some people do pay attention. If you guys have incidents in pro wrestling that you would like to see on this Do You Remember series, by all means, let me know. kdogskennel@aol.com is the place to send those emails to me. If you you send an email or whatnot, I am always looking for my email. Dig it? No. The only one I ask that do not request is the Chris Benoit family tragedy. That one is on tap. I have several notes about that. I just have to put basically pen to paper how what I want to discuss with it and all that. I think that could rival the Kurt Hennig video as my most viewed video on YouTube when I discuss the Benoit family tragedy. But guys, that is going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you are new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you would, pretty please. It does help the channel immensely. It does help the channel grow. We are absolutely on a roll. We're going to have more Black Myth Wukong for you guys tomorrow morning, because the view goal was not just met, it was shattered once again. So there will be another Black Myth Wukong video up tomorrow. Also, Lords of the Fallen that I'm going to co-op with my dear friend Ashley. That's going to be coming up in the coming days as well. New era. My old roommate was a professional WWE wrestler, and he wrestled Jake the Snake, and Jake put the snake on him. Yeah, Jake was notorious for that, for sure. That's actually kind of cool. I don't know if I'd let Jake put a snake on me. I'm not a big snake fan, but anyway, figured, like I said, I apologize. What didn't come up last night, it was pinned for last night. Like I said, I was having camera issues on my PC, so but I wanted to at least make it up to you. Wukong, ooh yeah. Hey, we killed 8 bosses in the live stream today, So we're on a roll with Wukong for sure. But anyway, guys, gotta get off here. Gotta get back. It's on YouTube. I'll find the fight and send it to you. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. But that being said, guys, take care, and I will catch you guys tomorrow morning with live stream number 5 of Black Myth Wukong. Don't dare miss it. Love y'all, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Take care.